Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing really well. So today I'm back to talk about the books that I have bought since Christmas. Been a little while since I've checked in with you about all of the things that I maybe should not have purchased, but you know, here we are. I just can't walk away from a bookshop, I'm sorry. And it's a really nice little collection of things. So without much further ado, let's get into these books. So starting off with a book that I got on the 1st of January, which I received from the lovely Shannon over 155 books. This was intended to be a Christmas present. However, it was delivered to my old address because I'm stupid and I forgot to change my Amazon wishlist address to my current address. But it's okay, all's well that ends well. And that was A Poem for Every Spring Day by Allie. So as the title suggests, this has a poem for every day from March through to May. Most of the poems in here have a bit of a spring theme. A couple of years ago, I read the autumn and winter editions of these books, and I did find that it was kind of hard for me to remember to actually pick these up and read them. However, I have new determination this year. I really like poetry, I want to read more poetry, and I thought this is a really nice way of doing it. So thank you so much, Shannon. I'm really looking forward to digging into this when we get to March. The next book that I picked up was actually not too terrible for my TBR because it was a book that I have already read and I wanted to have a copy of, and that is Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. I've slowly but surely been getting into the romance genre. I'm really enjoying my time with it, and you'll see that a couple more books are in that kind of theme. And this is the start of a kind of modern Shakespeare romance series, this book being very much based on Taming of the Shrew. In this you've got Prem and Karina, who is perpetually single, and her family have issued an ultimatum. They are wanting to sell her family home, which she has always wanted to buy, and they've told her that the only way that she would be able to get this house is if she ends up getting engaged in the next 3 months. Pardon me, that should be 4 months, which obviously feels like the most impossible task. You've then got Dr. Prem, who is the host for the television show The Dr. Dill Show, where he talks about his experience as a heart surgeon, and he is somebody who very much does not believe in love. Of course, these two crazy kids meet, and what would you know it, they are very attracted to each other, but with Karina being a hopeless romantic and Dr. Prem not believing in love, how can this work out? I thought this was really enjoyable, and so I wanted to have a copy for myself. The next two books that I picked up I'm showing together because they are both from the same author, and it is After I Do and Forever Interrupted by Jenkins Reid. These are two books in her backlist. I think these are the first two books that she ever published. Read both of these, really enjoyed them. You will get more thoughts about these in a video that I'm planning to do once I've read Carrie Soto Is Back, which will be all about Jenkins Reid and kind of like a retrospective, an author spotlight, because it's quite rare for me to read all of the books from a single author, so I feel like I should commemorate that. And then next we have some historical fiction. We have A Net for Small Fishes by Lucy Jago. This is set in the court of King James I, 1st of England, 6th of Scotland, and is giving the context and incidents of a murder that took place in the Jacobean court. This is one I'd been really anticipating reading, but unfortunately it did not live up to the hype that I'd put for it in my head. I did end up DNFing this about 120 pages in, which is a real shame because there were definitely aspects of this that I really enjoyed, but just ultimately I couldn't really get very invested in the story. I was reading it for about 3 weeks, putting it down, coming back to it, putting it down, coming back to it, and just was not getting into it, unfortunately. I think I said in my reading roundup that if you liked things like Rizzio by Denise Mina, you might really enjoy this. You're getting a lot of vivid description of the Jacobean court and the context of this very real murder that took place. But yeah, ultimately it was a bit of a fail for me. Then moving on to non-fiction, we've got Index, A History Author by Dennis Duncan, which I think has to go down as one of my favourite titles of any non-fiction book. This is one that I've been eyeing for quite a while, ever since it was in hardback. And as the title suggests, it basically gives a history of the index, how they came to be, how they've been useful throughout centuries. I really love literary histories, and also because I'm going to be working on the publicity for a different book which is talking about the chapter and the history of the chapter, I thought this is actually quite a good primer read for that. And yeah, I just think this will be really good fun. Next up, back to the historical fiction, we have For Thy Great Pain Have Mercy on My Little Pain by Victoria Mackenzie. This is a short little thing. It is medieval, late medieval historical fiction, focusing on the lives of Marjorie Kemp as well as Julian of Norwich. You're batting between the perspectives of both of these women, seeing the similarities and the differences between them. Both women who had these kind of prophetic visions, who claim that Jesus spoke to them, who were both lauded and ostracised in their time period for that. And in this they meet and they share their life stories. I'm around about 3/4 of the way through this and finding it really interesting. We'll have to report back on this one. Then next up, a slightly different book for me. When I was looking in the charity shops, I found this book, and this is not going to go on my proper TBR, this is going to go back home, but I just couldn't leave it, and you will see the very narcissistic reason why, and it is Charlotte Sometimes by Penelope Farmer. This is a classic work of children's fiction, and I think you can tell why it is I wanted to pick this up. It's a book that has my name on it. I know that's a stupid reason to pick a book up, but I wanted it. Charlotte Makepeace's first day at boarding school is a bewildering blur of unfamiliar faces, timetables, rules and lists. All the other girls know the routine and each other. No one invites her into their exclusive circles of whispers and giggles. But on Charlotte's very first night, something mysterious starts to happen. She wakes up in the same bed, in the same dormitory, in the same school, but something has changed. Somehow, Charlotte has slipped 40 years back in time. So you've got a main character called Charlotte, you've got this historical time travel aspect. Of course I had to pick this up. And then finally, for the last 2 books in this haul, we are going back to the romance books. I had a lovely weekend where I basically just lounged about all day and just sat reading romance books, and it was so fun. Especially after having quite a busy January, it was exactly the kind of tonic that I needed. And so obviously I had to buy some more romance books, of course. The first one that I picked up being Loathe to Love You by Allie Hazelwood. One of the books that I read during that lovely little weekend was Love on the Brain, also by Allie Hazelwood. You'll know Allie Hazelwood also as the author of The Love Hypothesis, which is quite a Marmite book on BookTube and BookTok. Some people love it, some people hate it. I am definitely down the road of really loving it. I read Love on the Brain, also really enjoyed that. I think I might actually prefer that book. And so when I saw that there was this little bind up of 3 short stories, 3 little novellas by Allie Hazelwood, then I had to snap it up. These are 3 STEM-based romances. Allie Hazelwood is known for writing about couples who work in STEM. And so I really know nothing about this, but I know that these romances are usually really fun. And from the sounds of it, all of these are kind of like rivals to lovers romance stories, so I'm all up for that. And then the final book in this pile is The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is one that I've heard a couple of my friends on BookTube really recommending, and is about 2 radio stars who are forced to host a new show, despite the fact that they hate each other. But actually that's kind of perfect for them, because the whole premise of this new radio show is about 2 exes having to be together and kind of sharing the air together. Both of these characters are actually not exes, they've never been in a relationship, but because they have this bitter dynamic between each other, the producers think, oh, this will be perfect. And together they have to give relationship advice live on air. This radio show becomes a smash hit, everybody is loving it, and the 2 are finding that their dynamic actually really works. However, as this is a romance book, obviously feelings are going to start to grow. And maybe they are going to kindle a relationship of their own. And how is that going to mess up the radio show that is based on the premise of them being exes? What's gonna happen next? Who knows? And I just thought that sounded really fun. So there we go, those are all of the books that have come into my life since January. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've spoken about today. Alternatively, let me know about anything that you've bought since Christmas. I would love to hear from you. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.